Ladies and gentlemen, this is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports, coming to you today with a special edition of Hollywood's Hot Topics. And over the last few days, there has been some very, very big news regarding NBC Universal, which owns obviously the NBC channel, USA Network, Sci-Fi, and well, until the end of this year, NBC Sports. And that's what I wanted to come talk to you about today. NBC in the last several days has kind of put themselves to have a power shift of some sorts. The first announcement happened over the weekend. It was announced that by the end of the year, the NBC Sports channel would no longer exist, and big-time sporting events that aired on that channel, such as NHL games and NASCAR, will be moved to the USA Network. That's a huge deal. And I think it's a huge deal for many reasons. NBC Sports is not a channel you get on basic cable, or, you have to have a pretty significant cable package to get NBC Sports, which costs quite a bit of money. So for them to move to USA Network is a huge deal. And the other thing you got to consider is, I love the USA Network, not just because they show Monday Night Raw on Mondays, but they, constantly air replays of Law and Order, SVU, Chicago PD, NCIS. Those are the three main shows that they show replays of. So, in a way, this is a very good move for NBC Universal, because, honestly, other than Monday Night Raw and a couple of original shows that they have, USA Network is the replay channel. They replay all the old episodes of the shows that I mentioned. And so I think having live sports on their channel when those sports happen is a big, big move. I think the ratings will be much higher. And that's always good for advertisers and sponsors and commercials and all that great stuff. But the other thing I want to talk about from the wrestling standpoint, because there's a lot of big wrestling news as regards to NBC Universal. With NBC Sports shutting down and the sports that they air being on USA Network, there's been talk of NXT being moved off of Wednesdays and into Tuesdays or Thursdays. And I can already see it now. If it happens, the AEW fans are going to be like, oh, we won the war and we forced them to a different day and all this other crap. Honestly, you guys should be very concerned about your guys' ratings, because I hate to say it, if NHL goes on the USA Network on Wednesday nights, no disrespect to AEW and their talent, but more people are going to watch hockey than they watch AEW. And speaking of pro wrestling as it regards to NXT and WWE, it was just announced earlier today, the beginning of this week, whenever you listen to this, NBC Universal has bought the rights to have the WWE Network and all of its content on the Peacock streaming service, which is NBC's streaming service like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. You get the point. This is also huge because the WWE Network is very accessible. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can pretty much view it any way you possibly can think of. But the problem with the WWE Network is Right now, they only have 1.6 million subscribers, which really isn't a whole lot. I think WWE thought that they were going to be more successful with it. Clearly, that is not the case. But by moving to Peacock, there's going to be a lot more eyes on the network. Peacock currently has 22 million subscribers to its streaming service. And they have a lot of great content on there. Just about every NBC produced show you could have ever think of is on Peacock. It'll have all the Law and Order shows. It will have the Chicago One or Chicago One. That's a One Chicago, whatever you want to call it. So I mean Chicago Fire, Med, and PD. So to me, this will make WWE's content more accessible and have more eyes on the product than possibly it's had in a very long time. And so, right now, USA airs Raw, and the agreement when the WWE Network came out is that when Raw airs on the USA Network or Fox Sports, the replays of those shows cannot appear on the WWE Network until I believe it's 30 days after they've aired. So that's another huge thing. So now if somebody misses Raw on USA Network, there's a good chance that they could go to Peacock the next day and watch the entire show. Now, as for SmackDown, it wouldn't quite work that way because SmackDown still has a deal with Fox that's going to last another, 4 years, 4 years. And so I think this is a huge step in the right direction for WWE. I honestly think this is a massive step for NBC. And I was talking to some friends about it earlier today, and this move by NBC to acquire the WWE Network while also already airing Raw and NXT makes me believe that something bigger is in the works. I truly believe that this is the first step of NBC actually purchasing WWE as a company once Vince McMahon decides to hang it up and retire and be done for good. So that's just my thought. I don't know. It's interesting to see NBC making all these moves. Like I said, NBCU has always had great content. They've had great shows for years. Like I said, Law and Order, whether it be the first and original or Law and Order SVU or NCIS, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Chicago Fire. I mean, there are so many great shows. And now, like I said, USA is going to have a lot more live action content by the end of the year. I think it's a good move. I think it's a move in the right direction for NBCU. I think this makes them a competitor to ESPN. Because let's be honest, folks, ESPN is the greatest sports network of all time. It's really hard to compete with them. Fox tried, and Fox failed miserably. That's why you don't see much Fox content anymore, even though they're still around. But you could tell that they failed when Fox decided to sell all the regional sports networks a few years ago. So, like I said, these moves by NBCU, I think it makes them a competitor. I think they're going to have a huge momentum shift their way going into 2022. So I can talk about this all day long and how fascinated and intrigued I am by it. But I just want to kind of give you the simple version and the gist of it to know kind of what's going on. And before I close, because people have been asking, how's the pricing going to work with NBCU? So there is a free version with NBC Peacock streaming service. There's a free version, which you only get limited programs. There is a $4.99 version where you get the programs, but they have advertisements on them. And there is the $9.99 price where you get all the programs and no advertisements, which the WWE Network and its pay-per-views will be under that $9.99 tier. So you'll still be able to watch WWE's pay-per-views for the low price of $9.99. So good move. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what happens with the NBC stuff. I'd personally love to know your thoughts. But other than that, I'm out for the day. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Again, this is Hollywood Joe from Hollywood's World of Sports. And as always, controversy doesn't come without criticism.